trap card, the magical hats. In this series, myself and 3 of the top Yu-Gi-Oh! Streamers will give their unfiltered, uncensored, and uninformed takes on some of Yu-Gi-Oh!'s most pressing issues. The catch? One of these 4 has a fake take, and it's up to the rest to find the liar. It's time to play Magical Hats.
Easy.
And welcome to the inaugural episode of Magical Hats. I have 4 of Yu-Gi-Oh!'s top creators in this call, and then after Alex couldn't make it, we settled on Gage. How are you all doing? Are you excited to reveal your terrible takes?
Extremely, Joseph. You know I'm the king of bad takes, bro.
I really do. I do. We won't be able to tell if you're lying.
I like that you're self-aware now, Gage, honestly.
My takes are never bad. I'm always right. I'm literally always right. All the time. Never wrong. Lots of hair. Good streamer. Yes.
I have never said an incorrect thing in my entire life, so let's get down to business.
You've said BA is playable every format since 2015.
Is he wrong? Hey, playable's not a stretch, bro. He may be right.
All right, let's kick things off. Today, we are talking about the time rules, one of the hottest topics in Yu-Gi-Oh! Everyone feels like they have to dip their own opinions into the pie that is the slurry of Twitter. And while we still have that platform, let's rattle off our takes as well. Kevin, you want to go first?
Sure. Okay, so in my opinion, the time rules as they currently are awful. Despite the fact that I think they're better than 0, 1, 2, 3, I think that these time rules allow for a very unhealthy state of competitive play in the sense that these time rules promote, intentional slow play. Not that everyone does it, but some people definitely do. And it also makes games that would be otherwise unwinnable for certain people become winnable through milling a ladybug with a skull on its back. And then all of a sudden you just randomly win a game. As a whole, right now, I think these time rules are complete, trash.
A strong statement. Nadir, what you got?
I'm somewhere a little bit more in the middle, I suppose. I think initially when everyone first heard of it, and as absurd as it does sound, end of phase is quite a wrong restriction. But over the course of time, at least definitely for the more casual level, at locals, at regionals, over the last couple of years, people have probably absolutely noticed that they were designed to reduce tournament duration, and I think that's absolutely been achieved. Now, the question and the crux of the argument comes down to what cost have tournaments become more efficient. Now, at the YCS and Premier event level, I would argue that, in fact, it's not had that effect. I don't know why, but at the regional local level, it has done what it was intended to do. And I think for the most part, best case and proof of this is YCS Dortmund ended at midnight. That is unprecedented and something that hasn't happened for years. So overall, I think that the time rules are a negative. They kind of promote a whole other different playstyle that I don't think is conducive to a healthy environment, and I don't think was really ever intended for the way Yu-Gi-Oh! To be played. So I think it promotes a sort of style and strategy that's never really been a thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! I guess maybe since Chainburn, which hasn't been a deck for almost 10 years.
That won 2017 Nats, right?
Yeah, that was, I guess, 5 years ago. So yeah, half a decade.
Oh wow, now I'm old.
That wasn't Nats. That was Worlds, by the way.
My man's talking about time cards. He's been milling Barbar since it's come out.
Yeah, baby! Nightmare Shark for game.
I feel like I'm kind of in the minority on this one, but I like the time rules. I don't know if
Imposter.
any of you were alive
Sorry.
back when
You're sus.
I don't know if you all were living when we had the old time rules, but you can pack a lot of game into even a single turn. I think Farf is right. Events do run late, but only really at big events. Nowhere near the hour-long in time sessions we had in the past. I also have to differ with the Skullmark Ladybug stuff. I think that it's now that it's become standard to play cards for time, it's actually super funny seeing garbage cards like Scattershot become top tier playable. And it also helps cards that have a life point cost like Sprite Starter actually feel like you're paying a cost instead of just this weird detour that no one actually cares about. I do think that there is a problem insofar as the time rules have not really shaved too much time off of events, but I feel like the solution to that is to shave even more time off of time. So maybe instead of end of phase, which honestly if you're playing tier could be another 10 minutes, they do something like end of current chain. It's over. Get to the open game state.
That's a scroll
fire it
take.
off. But no, in general, I think that the new time rules have been a net positive. I think it incentivizes a different type of strategic gameplay, but not one that's necessarily bad. And I think that stuff like Skullmark Ladybug becoming playable is funny enough that it justifies the whole thing.
Would you say earlier strong take? That's one of those ones.
Bold words.
My God.
All right, what you got, buddy? What you got?
All right. Well, I mean, I'm actually kind of on your fence, Joseph. I think like most Yu-Gi-Oh players, like they just genuinely want to play Yu-Gi-Oh, right? 45 minutes has proved like ample for most players, but it's like challenging for a lot. And I think actually it's not necessarily due to like just the time rules in general. I think it's because of how these YCSs have been queued up recently. Like if you look at Hani's Pasadena side deck, it's like the perfect example of somebody that just wants to play 45-minute games. And he knows he can do that because he's confident enough to be able to play it. But I think a lot of the problem isn't the time rules itself, but approaching these events, they are on like release weekend. And it might not seem like a problem like on these regional levels because you may not see it there, but at these YCSs where they have these huge monumental game releases, it's challenging for a lot of players that didn't physically get the cards like before. I think a lot of like time recently for matches has been explaining what my cards do to my opponents rather than just focusing on the game at hand. It's like not anything new explaining like your cards to your opponent, but when you're explaining like half of your deck to like everybody in the room that you sit down next to, it becomes challenging. And that's another thing too, is like Konami's, it's silly to say it, but they've been generous with giving us that 5 minutes. It actually like matters a lot.
Well, now I'm confused. I thought no one would agree with my harebrained take, and it would be easy to suss out who the imposter was.
I just want to get everyone's opinion. Well, mostly I want to get Nadir's opinion. How would you, if you could, fix the time rules?
Yo, I don't think it's even reasonable to say end of phase and be okay with that. I think it's unreasonable, so I'm immediately sussing those two. So I think any rational person would say end of turn, current turn, minimum. Probably end of opponent's turn would be like ideal.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. From a lot of people that I've personally spoken to, that's what a lot of people say. I kind of want to hear what Joseph and Gage have to say about like what their counter argument would be to making the time like go until end of opponent's turn or something like that.
That's an entire game you're describing.
I mean, you went completely to the extreme and went with end of chain link. I don't know if you're joking.
That I don't know about that. That's the one thing that's gotten me off guard. But as for like end of turn, I still think there's a lot of like parts of the game that wouldn't matter if you have like your main phase 2 and we're saying the end phase, right? Like sometimes games end if I just go battle phase and poke you, right? But what's stopping me from going to my end phase and still being up on life after I went to battle phase?
It means you can't win with like Scattershot, but you can still win with Hayate. Like, oh, cool.
Can you still not win with Scattershot though? I'm saying like if I'm still under the premise that I'm winning being up on life at the end of the turn, right? It is my main phase 1. I'm diddling around doing some combo and then I Scattershot you, right? Okay, end phase. I won, right? Like, does it matter?
Alternative to this, what if time is called at a turn and you go until the end of the battle phase of that turn? Thoughts?
That doesn't solve anything
Nah,
either.
I think it's
no.
still crazy.
I would like to focus on catching the imposter here, so I'm gonna use my round 2 here to catch someone out. I think Joseph is very clearly sus, but the thing that's catching me off is that Gage is defending this quite strongly, and your arguments are really poor. So in your opening present,
How is that suspect for Gage?
So in your opening presentation, Gage, you said that you went on this strange sort of fixation on, well, it's like a new weekend and a new set, and people like are explaining and reading their cards. I think for the majority of people who are entering major tier 2 events and higher, they are prepared and they are there to play those new core sets that are defining the format. So I find it really weird that you fixated on this argument about explaining and reading cards. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I totally disagree. Did you watch the live stream from Pasadena? If you sit down and watch the coverage, you realize how many people just didn't get enough time to understand what these cards do. There's illegal plays flying all over the place. There's people just don't fucking know what the cards do and everything like that. I've seen, the entire weekend in Pasadena, I saw people getting absolutely roasted for just not understanding maybe what one little new card did that came out. It's genuinely a challenge.
I think there's a difference between proficiency and misplaying and like this sort of like, explaining what cards do. I don't think it's ever that level of incompetent. You were very strong on this argument that like, people need time to like read these new cards, like physically sit and read how these new cards function, which is not the case at a tier 2 event, I think. But maybe I could be giving the Yu-Gi-Oh player base too much credit.
Disagree. I had people reading a Guido. They were like, let me read a Guido now for the first time.
Okay.
I think you are vastly overestimating how competitive their general Yu-Gi-Oh player is.
In Gage's defense, I personally was like preparing to commentate like on my stream this YCS, I read every Ishizu card the night before. Prior to that, I had never read them. So I can genuinely see people pulling up to these
Well,
events.
Kevin, I feel no offense. I feel like you're a special case, and you aren't actively playing the game right now for certain reasons.
That's fair. That's very fair. Yeah, no, that's not wrong. Not wrong. I will give you that one. But I've definitely rocked up to like tier 2 events and whatever. Like everyone was on that like Predaplant deck when I pulled up to Hartford, and I had never read a single fucking Predaplant card except for Verte and Scorpio.
Okay, Joseph, who do you think it is?
It's so weird. It's strange because like Kevin went really hard in, I went really hard in. I feel like Gage went really hard in. Nadir's take was kind of lukewarm, but it's the only one I feel like he doesn't actually believe in. I think that, you know, time rules are super good is like a weird, strange, off-meta Gage take that I would not be surprised if he has. I think that, you know, whatever side Kevin lands on, he's just going to defend to the death. And I know it's not me because I was in electrical and I was doing the task where there's the circle rotating. So I think it has to be Nadir just by process of
I
elimination.
think it's me. Interesting.
I think it's actually like Kevin's argument
Whoa!
was super. No, listen, bro. It was super generic, bro. Like you're just like, man, I think
It
people
could have
that win
come
with
from
these
Twitch
time
chat. You
cards-
are right.
It could have came from any. It was super generic. I feel like it just wasn't really wholly something he would believe.
That is exactly how Kevin talks. Come on, that's dog shit, bro. Like,
You're able to mill. I can't believe you're able to mill this ladybug in this game. I can't even play and win.
That is absolutely. Do you not know how salty I am, dude? Like, if someone would mill a ladybug, bro, I'd flip the table. Like, fuck this, you know?
You salty? No.
so you think it's Kevin, Gage?
I don't know, man.
Nah, could not be me.
I have. I don't know, man. I have a feeling it could be Kevin.
In all honesty, I definitely think that it's either Joseph or Gage, but I think I'm more leaning towards Joseph. Joseph definitely has those out there takes where he's just like, yeah, like this is completely fine. I mean, heck, the guy says that playing Flu this format is skillful. Like, it's definitely like a silly thing.
Totally
that
agree.
Joseph
Go play
would
Flu.
say.
Go play Flu. You will not win a YCS. You won't even be able to step foot in one.
That's not a skill
Bro, I
issue.
do
though.
play Flu. I literally have the deck. I've been playing it like against friends. I played against Gabe Vargas and I 2-0'd him, and he was playing Ishizu tier.
Gabe could not win a YCS this year. Like, literally could not.
He's bad.
Man, Kevin is associating with all these band players. Like, what's going on?
Interesting.
All these one by the way. All these equals one.
Hey,
I
plus
got
you, that's two, man. That's more than there is in this conversation.
So okay, when I go take a piss, that's me associating with a band player. Is that what's going on?
I'm canceling your toilet right now.
Yeah, I have another thing that Joseph brought up that it's like actually kind of intriguing. I wonder what you guys think about it. He said like, Joseph, you like cards that actually have like a cost now attributed to them. That involves life points, right? So like cards like Sprite Starter and stuff like that, like you actually feel like you're paying for them. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more for the people?
Yeah, so life points don't matter. With the exception of time rules, life points are just this weird resource that doesn't matter because every single deck OTKs. That means that a bunch of cards that like decrease your life points, really powerful answers like Solemn Judgment, Cosmic Cyclone, and really powerful starter cards like Sprite Starter essentially don't have a cost associated with them. I like that in some game states, they secretly do. It makes them feel just very slightly more balanced.
Don't you think that you could still have those costs be meaningful and impactful if we used end of turn?
I'd argue they'd be even more meaningful if you went to end of next turn.
If I get a battle phase, it doesn't matter that I took 11 off Sprite Starter. I'm going to do 10 million to you.
Oh, I
don't know about that.
don't
Okay,
know.
maybe
It
not
depends.
Sprite Starter because that deck is terrible.
With the time rules the way they are right now, if you activate Solemn Judgment, it's not like, oh, this card now has a significant cost. It's, oh, I lost the game. Your card's cost should not be activate this card, lose the duel. Like, that should not be the effect of your card.
I think they should. I think powerful cards should.
He's the
have
imposter.
Huge costs
There's
associated.
no way.
I'm super suspicious of Joseph.
There
now,
is
so
no
I'm
way
gonna
you're
go
gonna
with
tell
that
me
take.
the activation cost.
I'm
of your
sorry
card
that
should
you
be
don't
lose the
understand
duel.
like general game design principles. That's not my fault.
Oh my god.
I have my guess. Does everyone else have their guess?
I definitely have my guess.
I have my guess too. If we're just ready to hawk.
All
to
right,
it.
let's write them down.
Oh,
on
shit,
this
I need to
piece
go
of
get
paper,
paper,
and then
one
we'll
sec.
pull them up on 3. Oh, all that bullshit about 8x11, and you didn't get one.
So Joseph, how do you feel about the word sussy ending in ussy?
That's great. All right, it is time to vote. Who do we think has the fake take? Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Oh man, I should have used a marker. You can't even read.
Who is it?
That's right, folks. There is not an imposter on this first episode. I know it doesn't make sense for us to, ignore the core conceit of the thing in the very premiere episode, but I did want you all to get kind of a baseline of how our argumentative styles work so you can play along with us next time. And I hope to see you there next week.
God.
All right,
I-
we're literally
yo,
just
wait,
lying
that's-
out here.
that's
We're just
pre-
lying.
that's a
We're
pretty-
literally
yo.
just lying. Dan, good luck. That's
This
what I
is-
gotta say. Good.
This is definitely the funniest fucking thing that has happened.
Okay, so are we
Ever.
done then? Are we done?